just give me a second. Let me get the recording started over here. And from what I can see, the recording has started. Yep, it should be recording. And if you have any questions that come up, feel free to put it in the chat, and Simon will be facilitating the chat room as well. The only thing is the alumni part will not be recorded because the alumni have not approved of being recorded. So whatever recording will happen, it will happen for this part of the session. Yeah, so it's a very info-heavy session. We'll go for the next hour, and then we'll try to break for 5 p.m. or 5:05 p.m. Until 5:10 p.m. and then the alumni panel starts at 5:15. Okay, sounds good? Okay, awesome. So let's just get started. So Simon, I'll turn it over to you for the land acknowledgement, please.
Sure. So before we start the session, I just want to acknowledge that the land that Vic is on which we operate for thousands of years. It has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this island, to work on this land. So as we think about Indigenous populations and Indigenous communities, for those who are thinking about becoming teachers, it's really important to ensure that as your teacher, it is your obligation and your responsibility to ensure that we teach to the younger generations what it means to respect the land that we're on, to be able to appreciate that we as settlers have been on this land without permission. And what does that mean to sort of reconcile that, to work with Indigenous populations and Indigenous communities to ensure that their truth, that their stories are being heard, and that we continue to fight injustice and fight oppression every day. And as teachers, it's really important because teachers have such a big influence and impact on kids and on future generations, and to think about how you can continue to commit to this for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your working lives. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And just quickly going over accessibility considerations as well. I'm just checking to see if there's anybody else in the waiting room. No, they're not. So again, as teachers as well, you are going to have to also consider accessibility needs of your students and the different learning needs of your future students. So some of the things that we have done to make this presentation more accessible are as follows. If you have noticed, they're high contrast visuals, so white background with black text, and there's not distracting transitions and things like that, or like funny looking text which look cool but they're very distracting to the eye. Large font. We have put the notes on the slide deck point form as well to make it easier to read and understand. We will be saying this information verbally. We'll also be emailing this presentation out, and we're also recording it as well to hopefully be able to put it up on Quarkus later on. We have put all text on the content for individuals who identify as blind and for their slide readers. And we encourage your video to remain on as well so that we can see everybody's faces and we can kind of determine people's facial expressions and things like that and engage with each other like that. But we understand if you cannot. And any suggestions you have for how we can make these presentations more accessible going forward, please do email myself or Simon, or even reach out to Simon privately in the chat today as well. So there's a lot to cover today. It's going to be a very info-heavy session, as I said. So again, we will, clarify what is Teachers College and Ontario College of Teachers. It's very important to know that. As you may or may not know, UFT's Ontario Institute for Studies of Education, OEZ, has 2 programs in teaching, and they're actually both master's programs. And both of these master's programs are the only master's programs of teaching of its kind in Canada. So it makes it very unique that way. We're gonna go over the basic criteria for applicants, and we will talk about some of the recognized teachers colleges in Ontario. I realize I spelled teachers wrong, oops. Job outlook in alternate education careers. If we have time, we will try to log into the application system, the centralized application system for all Ontario Teachers Colleges, and have a look around in there if we have the time. If not, we'll take a break after this, and then we'll move to the alumni panel directly. And then of course the alumni panel is happening as well. Okay, so what is Teachers College? It is essentially, it trains you to be a teacher. So it's a professional practical program. It has practicums as well. So you're not only going to learn the theoretics, but you're going to be matching the theory with the practice throughout your time at Teachers College. Right now in Ontario, it is a 2-year full-time program. So you cannot do it on a part-time basis. It has to be 2-year full-time program, and minimum of 80 days of practicum as well. So really you're going to be in field placement, teaching a class, learning classroom management strategies, working with different kinds of learners, being an assistant teacher essentially through like for more than half your time in this program. To teach in Ontario, you need either a B.Ed, Bachelor's of Education degree. So that would be what we would call consecutive B.Ed, right? You will be applying in the consecutive B.Ed field because you're finishing up your honors bachelor's degree right now, and then you'll be doing a second entry bachelor's degree for your Teachers College, which is designated as a B.Ed. Like I indicated though, that Masters of Teaching programs are only available at U of T. They're the only ones that has masters, and you can go on to do a PhD if you get your Masters of Teaching from U of T. Otherwise, it's a Bachelor's of Education in Ontario. You cannot do advanced standing, as I have indicated. And additional qualifications, I will be very brief about AQs and additional qualifications. They are further specialization for teaching professionals. So AQs are, you may have heard of it, what it means is that after you're done your teacher's B.Ed degree or your U of T Master's of Teaching degree, then you could qualify to take some AQs, which can help you specialize further in certain aspects of teaching, or to even move up to teaching a different grade level. We will talk about it briefly, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it because this will literally be a few years down the road for you guys. The Ontario College of Teachers, let me move my chat screen here. The Ontario College of Teachers, very, very important to know who these guys are and be familiar with them, because they are essentially the regulatory body, the certifying body. And they're the ones who, they're the ones who will certify you to teach, right? If you don't have your certificate of qualifications from the Ontario College of Teachers, which is OCT, you're not going to be able to teach in schools within Ontario. So you need to be recognized and certified by them. And that certification process can only kickstart once you have finished your teacher's education 2-year full-time program. And then you'd have to apply to the Ontario College of Teachers and send in your transcripts and your credentials. And then looking at all of that, they will give you a certificate of qualifications, which will allow you to teach. And you can then start applying for teaching jobs. All teachers education programs within Ontario will really make sure that you get to know the standards of practice really well. So the Ontario College of Teachers sets aside the standards of practice, which is on the right-hand side of the slide here, the right-hand column. So really the curriculum will ensure that you get to know the standards of practice very well, inside out, backwards, forwards, whether theoretically or whether even during your practicum field placements as well. They have also, if you check on the website, they have a lot of resources, so feel free to check it out. It is a very resource-heavy website, and they have actually set in new standards of practice for virtual learning during COVID-19. So for example, they have standards of practice that all teachers in Ontario need to follow in how, for example, doing electronic communications with students, right? And the best and appropriate way to communicate electronically with their students while they're teaching them virtually due to COVID-19. OCT has set that right now as well. Okay, like I said, they are the regulatory body, and they're also the disciplinary body as well. You don't want to end up in an OCT disciplinary panel, unfortunately, because that record is public. So should you end up in front of a disciplinary hearing and investigation, the results are always posted on the OCT's website. So anybody that will look you up by your name, they will be able to report on that. The reason OCT does both regulatory and disciplinary is because it's to preserve the public trust in the profession. You do have to pay a membership fee and renew your membership fee, I believe. And OCT does say that you need to engage in continuous professional learning throughout your education career. So these are the program options that you can apply to for any teachers colleges in Ontario, including the UFT program. So there are 3 grade levels that you can apply to. So if you want to teach kindergarten to grade 6, we will call it primary junior. From now on, I'll refer to it as PJ, okay? If you want to teach grades 4 to 10, kind of like middle schoolish, right? Then we call it junior intermediate. I'll refer to it as JI. And if you want to teach grade 11 and 12, intermediate senior, I'll refer to it as IS from now on. Now, can anybody tell me what do I mean by teachables? And let me see if you can raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat as well. So what do I mean by teachables? Has anybody put anything in the chat, Simon? No? Okay.
Rika has one. Rika has that. So
Oh, okay.
a subject that we're qualified to teach.
Exactly. Absolutely. Right. So hang with me here because there's a little bit of, so I'm going to explain what teachables are. So you're correct. It's a subject you're qualified to teach. How is that determined? Well, it's the subjects that you have studied in your time at UFT and at VIC. Okay. So then you're the subject matter expert. Think back to when you were in elementary school, right? You were in K to 6 if you had done it in Ontario or even within Canada. You had the same teacher the entire day for most of the day, except for maybe phys ed or something. But you had the same teacher. And essentially that teacher taught you all your subjects. And then once you start to get into high school, you have different teachers. You got your homeroom teacher, and then you got to move from class to class for every single subject, right? Because then by the time you get the teachers are in high school, they become subject specialists in a certain topic, okay? So if you want to teach K to 6, the PJ level, you do not have to show that you are a subject specialist. So for example, if you want to teach English to like grade 3 students, you don't have to show that you have an English degree for the PJ level, right? You don't have to show that. Like they would, the schools that you apply to for Teachers College, they would want you to kind of have, they will kind of look at your degree and see if you have a broadness of topics, okay? Your application will get extra weight if you can show that you have taken a broad variety of topics. So if you have taken courses in English, anything related to English, like linguistics or English or math, you've taken a few science courses here and there, social science courses, those will really add weight to your application for Teachers College if you're applying under the PJ grade level, okay? Because they do want you to have a bit of a wider knowledge base there. If you're applying for the junior intermediate, the JI level, then you need to show a subject specialty in one subject in particular. So that means taking anywhere from 3 to 4 full year courses at UFT during your time at UFT in that topic. So for example, we have a lot of attendees here today who are studying in English or political science. So if you wanted to teach English at like the grade 8 level or 9 level, then really you'd have to have 3 to 4 full year university courses in English from UFT. Okay, and for the IS level, the intermediate senior, because you're teaching students who are bound for university or college, they're about to graduate, those students have more specialized learning needs and interests. So that's why the teachers also have to have a bit more of the teachers need to have a better grounding of that topic, and the teachers need to be subject specialists as well. So for the IS level, you need to show that you have 2 teachables. You have 2 subject specialty areas. Your primary teachable, the one that will be your main teaching area, will need to have 6 full year university courses, okay? 6 full year university courses in your primary teachable. For your secondary teachable, this only applies for the intermediate senior level. Your secondary teachable, you need to show 3 full year university courses. So if you're taking double majors, or you're taking a double major and 2 minors, or you're taking a specialist and a minor, well, then see what combination of courses you can gather together in order to show the 2 teachables you have, okay? Especially if you want to teach at grade 11, grade 12 level. Now, when applying for teachers colleges, you do need to specify at the time of application to teachers college that what grade level you want to teach. That's why it's very important right now for you guys. One of the things you can do after this session today is to look at your overall transcript so far and to see which subject specialty areas you can claim as your teachables and what courses you can bring together as your teachables. Okay? Because at the time of application, you are going to need to show that you have this teachable or you have that teachable. So that's one thing I wanted to point out in particular. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is that each teachers college will also have specific areas where they want you to take your courses in. So I'm looking at York University's BEd program. They have the widest amount of teachable subjects that they accept students into, okay, in the province. So York University's BEd, for example, points out that if you're going to claim one of your subject specialty areas as English, then you need to have courses that span Shakespeare, either Shakespeare, Canadian literature, post-colonial and gender studies, and language and writing. So either 3 of these areas. Or if you are going to claim family studies as one of your teachables, then you need to have 6 full-year courses or 3 full-year courses in psychology, sociology, or social sciences. You can also take the other 3 full-year courses in health studies or business studies. If you're going to claim, history, if you're going to claim mathematics as one of your teachables, the York University specifically points out that you're going to need to have courses that span calculus, linear algebra, probability and statistics, proof-based mathematics. You can also claim stats courses that you took for psychology or sociology as a 1/2 credit towards your teachable. So make sure that you read the specifications around which subjects you can claim as your teachable subjects for each of the school you plan to apply to, because each is a little bit different, right? So they have section on that where they specifically point out which courses that you have taken will be accepted as teachable by that particular teacher's college, okay? I also want to point out to you that the registrar's offices of those teachers college programs will not be looking at your at your transcript and go, oh, okay, we'd approve of this as a teachable, we'd approve of that as a teachable, we'd approve of that as a teachable. They're not going to be doing that. So don't contact them asking that, oh, I took this course, will this be acceptable? They will likely not do that. What they want you to do is read their website, because they do point out specifics. Read their website. You can seek some clarification on that if you'd like, and then look at your own transcript and match that up. You can even maybe approach the registrar at VIC to help you, the academic advisors at VIC registrar, to help you out further in denoting which of your courses can count towards a teachable for the specific teachers college program. Okay. So any questions so far before I move on to the next slide? Are there any questions in the chat, Simon?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Any questions people have about this? Are people clear on teachables and what can be accepted as a teachable? Okay, awesome. I was a little worried about this slide, to be honest. So I was working on it last night while I was cleaning up my kitchen, and I'm like, how do I explain this in a way that it's simple and easy to understand? So just FYI, okay? So what teachers colleges will essentially do is that when you declare a subject as a teachable, you get accepted into the program, you are in the program, they will teach you to teach in these subjects. They will teach you the pedagogy, and like you have the base knowledge, you have the theoretical knowledge and the foundation knowledge. And what Teachers College will do is teach you how to teach these subjects to students, okay? And to teach students in a variety of different classroom environments and settings and variety of different needs.
So there is one question.
Yeah.
Is it Cappuccini? I probably butchered your name. Did you want to unmute yourself? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I wrote it and you said my name properly, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so from my understanding then, if you have a minor in a subject, that kind of is enough to consider it one teachable subject?
More or less, yes, for the most part it would be, because for you need to show 3 full year university credits. But again, I am pointing you towards a website of the teachers college you want to apply to, because they will say specific things like, oh, 2 of the 3 credits have to be third year or fourth year courses, right?
Okay.
Or they need to cover this subject area, so they're going to provide specifics on that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
And then Lee had one more
yeah,
question. Sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Lee. You want to unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
I have a quick question. One, I think it's Queens, I can't remember exactly which school it was, has
Okay.
a requirement that you have a full survey course in history for their teachable, but U of T doesn't offer a full survey course for history, like Canadian history.
Okay.
So then when you're listing them, could I list 2 of my Canadian history classes that I've taken at U of T as a full survey course, or do I need to contact them about that?
For that, I would suggest you contact them, because sometimes what teachers colleges do is they will give you a conditional offer of acceptance if you get accepted by Queen's, for example, and then they will say, well, we offer a survey course at the undergraduate level. So if you take the survey course and you pass it, then, you know, your conditional offer will turn into a full acceptance offer, right? So they may even have a way to do that too.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide. I just wanted to point out very briefly that, you know, if you have been teaching at the K to grade 6 level for like 10 years, and now you're like, I'm looking for professional development, I'm looking for a new challenge, and I want to now move into teaching high school level, grade 11 and 12. And you can then take courses under the AQ section to then upgrade your teaching level. Okay, and AQs are offered by all teachers colleges in Ontario. So just FYI, you're not stuck teaching this grade level forever and ever, because again, your needs and your goals and your desires can change over time. Okay. Okay, so this is another one I want to point out. In order to get your certificate of qualifications from the Ontario College of Teachers after you graduate with your B.Ed or your Master's of Teaching or your Master's of Child Studies Education, you need to take a math proficiency test. This is a new requirement. Okay, so every teacher candidate who wants to be certified and successfully teach in Ontario, you need to take a math proficiency test now. And you need to pass the math proficiency test. So you will see the link at the bottom that has more details on this math proficiency test. So even if if math is not one of your teachables, or you're a teacher that has trained in the primary junior grade level, you will still need to take this math proficiency test. And as you can see, you need to get a grade of 70% in order to pass the test. And the reason it's being done right now is they want to ensure that teachers are confident in teaching the Ontario math curriculum, regardless of the grade assigned. Because keep in mind that because of the needs of the school or your school district, you may have trained in one subject and to teach, say, you may have trained to teach anthropology to grade 11 students, right? But depending on the need of your school or school district, you may get pulled into teaching math. And that can very well happen, right? Those are the realities of working as a teacher. You may get pulled into teaching different subjects that you didn't initially train for at teachers college. And then you have a few weeks to kind of read the curriculum, pick up the curriculum, and then teach it to students. That's happening a lot right now with COVID and with virtual learning, having to run both in-person classes and virtual classes. And there is a teacher shortage now. So teachers are getting pulled from in-person classes, thrown into virtual classes, and now are being told to teach other subjects that they had not taught before. That's why this math proficiency test is one of the reasons why it exists as well. Okay, so just ensure that you do read the link and read details on this math proficiency test that you gotta pass. I don't think it's a very difficult test. And it's 70% passing grade, so they're not asking a whole lot, but they want to ensure that at least the basic math concepts you will be comfortable teaching it. So these are the recognized Ontario Teachers Colleges. These Teachers Colleges are all recognized by the Ontario College of Teachers. I wanted to point your attention to Tyndale University and Redeemer University College. These are private universities. And if you want to, the reason being is they have a bit more of a religious background, right? They have a bit more of a Christian framework and Christian background to their institutions. Tyndale University is located in Bayview and Lawrence area. Bayview and Lawrence, I want to say, in Toronto. And Redeemer University is located in Ancaster, Ontario. If you want to apply to their Teachers College programs, you're going to have to apply directly on their website. You cannot apply in the centralized system, okay? You have to apply directly on their website. U of T's program, like I indicated earlier, they offer 2 teaching degrees, Masters of Teaching and Masters of Arts in Child Studies and Education. U of T, of course, the only master's programs of teaching offered in Canada. And even for the U of T program, you have to apply directly through U of T. The School of Graduate Studies, SGS, they have their application system. You have to apply through there if you want to apply for the U of T program. Université Laurentienne is in French. And I think University of Ottawa also offers a French and English option for their teachers program, their Bachelor's of Education program. Okay, so any questions so far before we move on to talking about the U of T programs? No questions coming in? Okay, awesome. So as I mentioned, we have an alumni coming today, actually, who is currently studying at the Masters of Arts in Child Studies and Education. So she can actually talk in greater detail about her experience in this, so I won't go too much into it. But the MACSC, there's so many acronyms, oh my gosh. The MACSC is only if you want to teach kindergarten to grade 6. Okay, so child studies and education. The highlight of it is that it is a very competitive program, very hard to get in, a very competitive program because it's it gives you very intensive training in teaching children, and you are going to be essentially in out of like a is it? No, sorry, not 24 months, sorry, 24 weeks. What am I saying? So 6 months. So this is a 2-year-long program, essentially 24-month-long program, and you are in placement for 6 months of that, okay? And then also there's a 13-week-long full-time internship in your second year as well, right? So as you can see, the practicum expectations, the mandatory practicum expectations are very, very intensive. So in your first year, you're going to be doing 24 weeks of field placement in your first year, and in your second year, you're going to be doing 13 weeks of field placement as well, and working as a full-time teacher in a sense. And one of the placements is done with the Dr. Eric Jackman Lab School that is located within the U of T. Yeah, my husband's bringing me water, so I just winked at him there. So yeah, sorry about that. So thank you. Yeah, and one of the placements is done within the lab school that's located at U of T, and the lab school itself is world-renowned, right? It actually functions as an actual school with actual students and teachers, and it's also used as a research lab as well. So there's like, you essentially have live research participants who are kids who are attending the school and doing all these very intensive and all these very unique, innovative programming. And then you have researchers from pretty much all over the world, education researchers from all over the world who are using the knowledge that they are gaining, the practical experience that they're seeing and observing at that school, and they're using that for their research work. So it's extremely interesting. No other program offers that. If you want to apply for this program, you can apply for either of the 2 streams, which is practice-based inquiry, PBI, in psychology and education practice. And then there's a research intensive training, RIT, in psychology and education. If you want to apply to the research intensive training stream for the MACSE, then you need to have a lot of research experience in your undergraduate. So your CV has to show that, okay? If you end up getting to this program and you get this degree, you are still qualified to teach. You'll be recognized by Ontario College of Teachers, but you'll be known as a research practitioner. So you can actually go on to even get your PhD using this degree as well. So you can still teach and also get your PhD in education as well. The second master's program that's offered at OAC, this also has a research component, but not as much of an intensive research component as the other one. This is like your more classic practice-based program. Here, if you wanted to teach other grade levels, then you apply to the OAC's Master of Teaching program. As you can see, it's not just limited to primary junior, but it also has JI and IS. because this is a graduate level program, it does have more of a research component to it. There is a research component to it. Not as much as the other program that I just indicated, but there's a research component compared to most other B.Ed programs. So when you are applying to either the Master of Teaching or the Master of Arts in Child Studies and Education, you are going to want to point out a research interest and a faculty supervisor that you would potentially want your research to be supervised by, because these are graduate level programs, okay? And even with this master's program too, you'd be eligible to apply for a Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Education program as well. So it will qualify you to apply for a PhD, and they have field practicums as well. You will be doing field practicum for a total of 80 days throughout the 2 years of the program. So, and for the U of T program, as I indicated, you have to apply directly to the U of T's School of Graduate Studies application system, okay? So
there was a
sorry,
question from a student asking, so the other universities don't provide a master's degree, but they do for OCT. So basically affirming that the only master programs available is through OIZ or the U of T.
Yes, if you want to do a master's program in teaching that will qualify to both teach and be a researcher and potentially go on to do your PhD, U of T is the only one that offers that. All the other teachers colleges offer your Bachelor of Education. So then if you want to do, then you'd have to do a master's and then do a PhD separately, okay? So any other question before I move to the application process for the other B.Ed programs? No? Okay. So I'm just going to keep an eye on the time. Okay. So the Teachers College application is a bit lengthy. It has two parts to it. The first part is you applying to the Teachers Education Application System, which we call TEAS. I'm going to refer to it as TEAS. This is the link to that. It's a centralized application system for all Bachelor's in Education programs in Ontario, minus the exceptions that I pointed out a couple slides back. Okay. So the basic admission criteria are as follows. You'd have to get a cumulative GPA of 70% in your last full 10 undergraduate courses or 20 half-year courses. So either 10 full-year courses or 20 half-year courses. But keep in mind that York University actually requires a B. They are slightly higher in their minimum admission requirement, not a B minus. York's B.Ed program is very popular, by the way. So just want to point that one out. You need to complete your bachelor's degree. So the grades that you have, so if you are planning to apply for next year, September 2021, they only take in students once a year in September 2021. You need to have all your current courses at U of T completed by August 2020, no later than August 2020, and your convocation cannot be any later than November 2021. Does that make it clear? So if you still have some outstanding courses after August 2020, if you still have some outstanding courses after next summer, you won't be eligible to enter the teaching program next fall, okay? If you have any transfer credits from colleges, from Ontario Public College or other colleges, they would not be used to assess your grades. There may be exceptions because some B.Ed programs do offer some exceptions, so you do need to read that. I think Lakehead or Laurentian might offer exceptions. I cannot recall which one now. And then you need to have your course required number of teachable courses if you're going to be applying for JI grade level or the IS grade level. And when you're applying, so 50% of your application is actually based on the information you put on the TEAS system, by the way. So you want to ensure that the information you're putting on the centralized application system, it is true, it is complete, and it is accurate, and it shows you in the best light, because 50% of the weight is given on what you put in that centralized application. So you also need to show that you have teaching experience with the age group that you want to teach. Okay, or you have some kind of a leadership experience with them, but they are instructional in nature. They don't have to be paid. Paid is great, but they don't have to be paid. They can be volunteer in nature as well. So I have put some examples of experiences that will really count for a teacher's college experience. Camp counselor or day camp counselor, overnight counselor, working at a daycare would really show you in a very good light. If you have worked in tutoring, absolutely. A lot of people who do like Kumon instructor or those kind of tutoring programs, they do go on to teachers' colleges. You have worked in a play center, like, you know, those birthday party places that they have with those indoor slides and all that. I've had students who got into teachers' college using those experiences because they're the ones who are like setting up the entertainment program for the kids and dealing with like 10, 15, 20 screaming kids at a time, right? So they've actually used that experience to successfully get into teachers college. If you have been a coach of some kind, sports, or you have been a music teacher, an arts teacher, things like that, right? You have volunteered as an arts instructor with a community organization, or you have done some after school tutoring with a community organization as well. Or within the Toronto Public Library, I think they have volunteers for after school teaching programs. Then those experiences would be really good to put in as well, okay? Because you want to show that you understand to an extent how the teaching profession works, how program planning or curriculum development works, right? How to manage a group of students, right? How to maybe change your material around for a student who has some different learning needs, right? And how to kind of personalize and change your material around for that student. If you have done adult and ESL classes, those are great. If you have done volunteer teaching abroad, those are fantastic experiences to put in as well. Any questions on the last
Yep.
couple of
So
slides?
there are
Yeah.
two questions. So Hannity was asking, what are some examples of arts? I guess so arts experiences. And then Leah, is there a certain amount of hours of experiences required or suggested, I guess?
So what are the arts experiences? I mean, things like, you know, if you are, for example, it can be visual arts, fine arts, drawing, painting, music, right? Dancing, performing arts as well. If you have done those kind of experiences, if you have worked with a community organization like Urban Arts in Toronto, they're located in the Western Mount St. Denis neighborhood, and they often have after school programs for children in the neighborhood, and they seek volunteers for their art program. For example, painting mural. They do a lot of painting murals and beautifying the community that way, community development work as well. So it's like art teaching as a community development and also providing free programs for kids after school. Those kind of experiences are very, very worthwhile. If you have worked within a city of Toronto or York region type of summer day camp program that has an arts focus to it or a sports focus to it, those are very, very fantastic experiences to put in as well. Sorry, what was the second question? Could you remind me from Lee?
So the number of hours that you would need to have and also like how many of these experiences. So essentially how much experience should you have or would you need?
That's a really good question. For that, you want to look up the experience profile of the different schools. So I'm going to actually get to that because that's a supplementary document, supplementary application question. So I will get to that actually. Okay, so I'll keep that question in mind. And I think Capucine has her hand up as well, right?
Yes. So if I have experience mainly in like K to 6 age group, would that be completely useless if I want to teach intermediate senior?
It wouldn't be, but I think then you need to make a stronger case in your personal statement as to how you can use the skills and knowledge you have learned in K to 6 to be able to also effectively teach older students. So yeah, ideally it would be great if you can actually work with the age group that you want to work with, like youth, teenagers, things like that. But I do understand that because of COVID-19, a lot of opportunities have been canceled or pushed back or limited. So those considerations are there. And there are B.Ed programs that have details on what happens if you can actually get experience because of COVID-19 and how are we going to assess your application. So it's a good idea to ask the schools that you want to apply to on how they would assess that experience, considering, you know, things have shut down due to a pandemic. Okay. Any other questions before we move forward?
One more question. So how about high school experience? Like, so stuff you did when you were in high school, does that count?
Absolutely. Do include it. Absolutely. Yes. So any experience you can think of where you have worked with students, even if it's going back to middle school, and you want to put that. But of course, keep in mind that the more recent experiences, the more weight it has. Okay. So yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. So we'll move to, these are the application fees if you're applying via the centralized system, okay? So $159 Canadian, and they're all quoted in Canadian dollars. So this is $159. You gotta pay it. This entitles you to apply to 3 different BEd programs or 3 different BEd schools, okay? Any other additional choice you wanna add, you have to pay extra $51 per choice beyond the initial 3. I believe you can apply to a maximum of 6 different programs. So the initial 3 is covered by the $159 fee, and then any additional choice is $51 per fee, per choice. Then also keep in mind that there are transcript request fees as well. The cool part about the TEAS system is that you don't have to run around getting your transcripts from the registrar's office and mail it to the BEd program of your choice. TEAS will take care of that on the back end. All you gotta do is pay the required transcript fee, and once you review and submit your application and pay all your application fees, then TEAS will take care of getting the transcript from U of T and sending it to the schools and programs of your choices, okay? U of T's transcript fee, as of last week when I checked it on this website here, is $15. So that's U of T's fee over there. And supplementary fees, there are those as well. That is different for each education teachers college program. I'll discuss that in a later slide. So as you can see, the fees do add up pretty fast when you're applying. So what I really want to urge you guys to do is give yourself enough time to go through the TEAS system, research the programs that you want to apply to, narrow it down, know why you're applying to it, and then when you're applying to it, once your application is complete, you got to review it. And then before you can hit submit, you have to pay the fees. It will prompt you to pay the fee. And I think it's by debit card or credit cards. Once you pay the fee and you hit submit, then your application has gone through. If you have not paid the fee and hit submit, then your application has not gone through, okay? That's why you wanna know that's why you wanna take the time right now to research the programs you wanna apply to. Schools, if you have any questions for sessions or webinars, and really be sure of the choices you're applying to, because the fees are non-refundable. So if you decided to apply to University of Ottawa's teaching program and you have completed the whole process, you have already paid the fees, you've submitted your application, and now you change your mind and you're like, oh, you know what, I don't want to apply to University of Ottawa anymore. I want to actually switch my choice with Queen's University's program. You can add Queen's University's program, but you won't get the fee you paid for University of Ottawa because fees are non-refundable. So you will have to then pay that extra $51 right here to then put in Queen's as part of your choices as well. Okay, so that's why I really urge you to do your research. A couple more details on TEAS. I think I've already said some of it. So like I said, TEAS will forward your transcripts and your applications to your chosen schools. So you don't have to worry about that part. The only time you got to worry about your transcript is if you went for a study abroad or foreign exchange and you took some of your courses at another institution abroad, and those courses are part of your CGPA calculations and teachables and all of that, then you're going to need to contact that institution abroad to get their transcript, and then you're going to have to send it to the school, okay? So if all your courses were taken U of T, you don't have to worry about it. If all your courses were taken with another institution in Ontario, you don't have to worry about grabbing your transcript, because you can just select the institutions in Ontario from a drop-down menu in the transcript section, and you can point that out, and TEAS will take care of that, provided you have given the fees. But if you have done foreign exchange, you're going to need to kind of do that manually yourself. You have to contact the institution, and etc. Okay, you can actually rank your choices when you're applying. So when you submit your application, your choices will show up as ranked, 1 being the school that you really want to be in, and if you decide to apply to 6 different programs, the 6th is the one that is kind of your last choice. But your ranking of choices does not affect your admission decisions. Okay, your application will still be looked at in the same light by all the schools you have pointed out, and the admission decisions will then be sent that way. Another thing I want you to remember about TEAS is that you need to accept or reject your admission offers through the centralized TEAS website. So as of February 1st of 2021, if you're applying for September 2021, the offers will start to go out. So you need to start checking the TEAS website to see if you have received an admission offer or not. And then you put in your acceptance of that offer or rejection of that offer through the TEAS website. You can get more than one admission offer. You're not limited to that. If you apply to 6 different schools, you could be accepted to 5 of them. That's fine. But you can only have one acceptance offer on your file at a time. So it's perfectly okay if, say, you apply to 6 different schools, 5 of them give you the acceptance offer, and you decide to accept Queen's University. But then you really, really, really want to go to York University's teaching program. And York University is taking their sweet time letting you know whether they have accepted you or not. But then York University comes in, you're accepted. You can absolutely cancel Queen's University's acceptance that you put in before, and you can accept York University's. You can absolutely do that. But you can only have one acceptance offer on your file at a time. Okay, does that make sense? Awesome. And then don't forget that there's the part 2 of your application, which we call the supplementary application process. And you can only get started on submitting your supplementary application forms once your TEAS is completed. Once the part 1 is completed and all the applicable fees have been paid, you also need to pay your supplementary application fees at this time as well. So when you're finishing up your part 1 of your application on TEAS, you need to pay all the fees, including the supplementary application fees. Once that process has been completed, then you can start submitting your supplementary application documents, and you will receive instructions on submitting your application documents. Okay, if you'll be applying for the consecutive BEd because you'll be finishing your BEd here, honors bachelor's here, and then applying to a second entry bachelor's. So as a domestic student, you'll be applying to the 105D application. And if you're an international student to UFT and you want to go to Ontario Teachers College, then you would be applying at the 105F international application. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yep. So there's 2 questions. Tara had a question about, do you know if teachers colleges will be taking into account that there are less opportunities to get in class experiences this year due to COVID-19? And I responded saying the best way to know is just ask them directly and just see how they will be processing admissions, knowing that there's COVID-19. So I imagine there'll be differences, but each school will be a little bit different how they consider COVID-19 in this environment. So best to talk to them directly.
Yeah,
and
then I
Lee
just want to point out to exactly.
Yep. And
I'm
then
sorry, Lee had a question as well.
Yes. So can you access TEAS and prepare your applications and send for your transcripts before submitting all of your supporting documents?
I think so. The way the TEAS application system works is that you need to fill out the application with your program choices, the grade level choices, indicate the courses you have taken and the grades you have gotten in the courses, the pending courses you still have. So pending meaning this semester and next semester's courses if you're in your final year. And then you need to request transcript from UFT and pay all the application fees, including supplementary application fees. So the transcripts can only be ordered through TEAS because then and you have to pay for it directly in the TEAS system. And then TEAS on the back end will get your transcript from UFT and will forward it out to the different institutions you have applied to. So yeah, so once you complete that portion, the part 1 of your application system, then you can start submitting your supplementary application documents. Supplementary application documents includes things like your resume or CV, your personal statement, your reference letters from faculty members. It includes things like that. That doesn't mean that you cannot start working on your personal statement and CV or getting your references right now. You can absolutely start working on them right now, but you cannot submit it until you haven't done the part on the TEAS system. Does that sort of answer the question? Yeah? Okay.
Sorry, no. So we should do part 1 well before the application due date.
Yes, I'm going to get to due dates in a later slide. Yeah. I'm going to get to the due dates in a later slide. So this is just repeating information that I have already indicated. Important thing to keep in mind, your final year grades, whether it's your 4th year, 5th year, 6th year, doesn't matter, can be used to fulfill your teachable requirements, but it is not taken into your calculations for your cumulative GPA, just FYI, okay? But it can be used to fulfill your teachable requirements. Okay, so these are the deadlines you got to keep in mind. So if you want to apply for the UFT master's programs, UFT is very early. It's November 15th, 2020. Okay, so if you haven't started applying, thinking about the UFT program, and now you realize you want to do it, you want to get working on it ASAP, because this is the first deadline coming up. The application, the part 1 of the applications for other BEd programs, which you only do on TEAS, they are due on December 1st as of 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so before December 1st, your TEAS needs to be completed, your fees put in, your transcript requested, your program choices submitted. Okay, if you want to change, if say on November 20th, you finish up your TEAS part of the application, and then you decide, oh wait, you know what, I actually want to add Western University's BEd program onto my school choices as well. You can still go log in and go back and add it, provided you do that before this December 1st, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time deadline. Okay, so you can make changes, add schools, take away schools until that date. February 1st, 2021, if you are seeking admission for September 2021, the early offers start, the first round offers start going out. So you want to log back into your TEAS account, and you want to see if any early offers have come in for you or not as of February 1st, 2021. By March 1st, 2021, all first round offers have been sent out by that point, okay? But don't fear if you have not received an acceptance offer by March 1st. The schools are still, they have only just finished their first round of offers, and now they're looking at the other applications as well. So you can still have offers coming in throughout the summer. So keep checking your TEAS website, keep logging in and checking, because that's where your offers are gonna show up. August 2021, if you want to start your program in September 2021, you need to finish all your courses at UFT, in your current program, in order to be able to then start your program. And then your convocation would be no later than November 2021. Supplementary application deadlines, they are different for each schools. They typically tend to be within the first 2 weeks of December. So they're different for each school. So please ensure you check the program websites for your desired program carefully. And yeah, and for the TEAS, I don't think we'll have time to go on the TEAS website, fortunately. So I'm going to try to move through the rest of the slides fast, because I do want you guys to have a bit of a break. So when you do get the time, make sure you read the application guidebook and FAQs, because that should answer a lot of your questions. And you want to give yourself enough time to complete the application, since it is a 2-part application process. And these are some of the documents that would be part of that would make up your supplementary application. So again, the forms can look different for each school. There's a candidate experience profile, and a question was asked earlier, how many hours do I need to have for each experience? Well, the candidate experience profile should have a section where you not only indicate the experience, but you provide details of what you have done and how many hours you did there, right? So there's no specific guideline as to how many hours are acceptable, but for your major experiences, say your first 3 experiences you want to put down on the candidate profile, the more hours you have, the better it is. Okay, the more hours you can show, the better it is. And that will go under your candidate experience profile. Please ensure that you do finish your TEAS application and all the fees are paid and everything, because then the schools you have applied to will contact you, and they will give you an access code to then get into their website. They'll give you an access code and further instructions on how you can then go about submitting your supplementary documents, okay? So either you can submit it directly on their website, depending on their instructions, or you can also submit through the SAM, which is Secure Applicant Messaging, that is inside of the TEAS website. So those instructions will be provided to you once you have completed the part 1 of the application and all the fees are paid off, okay? So these are the supplementary fees of the different schools. As you can see, they're different for each. And UFT OAZ, if you're applying for the master's program, the supplementary fee is $225. But the $225 allows you to apply to 3 different programs, master's programs in OAZ. So you can apply to Masters of Teaching, MA in Child Studies and Education, and another OAZ Masters of Education or Master of Arts program within OAZ. So the $225 should cover 3 applications there, okay? And these are current. I checked it. They should still remain accurate and current. So yeah. And when other application information, it is important that they can match your supplementary documents with the information you provided at TEAS. So you want to give your full legal name. That's on your landing papers if you have migrated to this country, or on your study permit, or on your health card. Your health card will often have your full legal name in it. So if you're going by a nickname, don't use that. Give your full legal name. You need to fill out accurately and completely, including your full legal name, or your application is disqualified. Fees are non-refundable. They must be paid in full at time of submitting FTs. You need to include status in Canada information, of course. And then when you are putting in the courses you have taken, and you do that in the TEAS website, you have to put the course name as it appears in the syllabus or the course calendar, the course code, and the GPA that you had, and also the pending courses as well. Okay. So, any questions so far before we move? Before we kind of finish off?
Yeah, Gina had a question for the MT program. Can you
Okay.
apply to different divisions within MT or any other program?
I believe you should be able to. So even with the BEd programs as well, you're not limited to applying for one grade specialization at one school. You can apply to 2 different grade specializations within the same school, provided you have the teachables. Yeah, provided you have the teachable requirements and you meet the teachable requirements. So with the labor market outlook, we have heard for the longest time the teachers had a hard time getting full-time stable permanent jobs within Ontario. A lot of teachers had to move out of province or even teach abroad in order to gain teaching opportunities. If you were science, French, or math teachers, we do have a lot of need for that in Ontario, and they had a better job market outlook. However, 2 things here at the very top have rapidly changed that, right? COVID-19 is now like, Ontario College of Teachers is sending emails out to current certified teachers in good standing and saying, oh, hey, if you have thought about coming back to the teaching profession, please do so, because we need more teachers because of virtual classes and in-person classes. So teaching opportunities have opened up rapidly right now, right? And wave of retirements is also coming up as well. Even with the COVID as well, I personally know of my mom's friends who are teachers, and they're like, yeah, I'm taking early retirement. Because they're like, we're too old, we're in our 60s, I'm not dealing with COVID. I'm in a high risk group. Right? So those situations are also playing out as well, which is opening up opportunities for teachers who have been supplying for years and years and years, and now suddenly they're able to get in on a much more stable permanent opportunity. So that's something to keep in mind. But there are a lot of other jobs that you can do with your BEd degree, right? And here are some examples of it. Our assistant dean, Brigida Petro, she is a certified teacher as well. And I believe she went to U of T's OAZ program, and she's working in post-secondary student life, right? And a lot of the skills that she learned in Teachers College program, she applies it to her job as an assistant dean. She has to do a lot of workshops, a lot of program development, and you learn those skills in Teachers College. Some other ones I want to point out, some of them may require further education. For example, if you want to become a social worker working with children, you might have to get a social service worker diploma or a social work degree. If you want to teach abroad, definitely you can do that. You'll be very, very wanted if you want to go teach abroad and you have a teacher's degree, and you'll be getting a very fast salary too. So countries like countries within the Middle East, South Korea, they tend to pay the highest when it comes to teaching abroad, by the way. And I think Japan as well too. You could work as an online curriculum developer, especially if you have really good computer skills and IT skills, and you can navigate education platforms like Quarkus really well. You can work from education publishers like McGraw-Hill Ryerson. Check who are the publishers of your textbooks. McGraw-Hill Ryerson is one of the major ones. They have a lot of job opportunities available as well for BEd holders. Okay, so yeah. And there you go. These are some things that you can do as next step. Yeah, these are some things you can do as next step. So make sure you get into TEAS, look at their application guidance fees, create a login account. Creating an account is free on there, thank God. And the research and narrow down Teachers College programs. You want to start on your part 1 of the application because December 1st is the deadline. So we have a little under 2 months right now, and you want to continue working on your supplementary documents as well. So you can meet with, I'm here until October 16th, after which I go on mat leave. So if you need me to revise your Teachers College personal statements or CVs prior to October 16th, I'm happy to do that. After that, it would be Simon. So that's why I've put Simon's email address at the bottom. Review application document, and December 1st, 2020, 11:59 p.m., drill that date and time in your head. That's the deadline for BEd programs. UFT's master's programs, deadline is November 15th. Okay, so we won't get time, unfortunately. So can we come back at 5:15? So on 5:15 Eastern Standard Time. So like 5-minute break, like about a 7-minute break. My clock says 5:08 right now. Sounds good? We'll be back at 5:15 and we'll start with the alumni panel. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So we should be back in about 2 minutes. We went a little bit over with the information, so I'm just okay. Quick 5 minute break, guys. you know, quick. So yeah, this is your chance. This is your chance to do it. So we're gonna wait on the 2 minutes and start right at 5:15.
Okay.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for. Where's my ear? Thank you so much for being able to join us today. Appreciate
It's
it.
my pleasure.
Okay. Okay. All right. Counting down. I think. Hi, Megan.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little bit cold because I'm working outside.
Well, I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, so I have like my cloak on and yeah.
Well, you look good.
Thank
How
you.
nice. Your new house has a little outdoor space. That's awesome.
It's helpful because otherwise, like, my kids would be crawling all over me right now. You know how my little one is. Like, he's like crawling all over me. It's like so unprofessional.
No, it's
So
not. It's not. No, it's just the way things are right now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a little tough handling and managing both of that, and they both got sick last week, so can't send them back
Yeah.
yet. So that's why they're home. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here today. They would be at daycare and school. But yeah,
Yeah. What a great turnout.
yes, very, very happy to see
Yeah.
that. And it was very information heavy, and students had lots of good questions. You can see in the chat as well. Like, it's been a busy, busy chat room here. Yeah.
Yeah, and welcome to Farah and Kim and Molly and Sarah. That's awesome.
Welcome.
Hi,
Hi,
thank
Kim.
you.
Hi, Farah.
Hi, Sarah.
Molly.
So I can only I see Sarah and I see Megan, and I'm sorry, then I have Vic at home on my screen. Like I don't.
Oh,
so
Vic
I
at home is me.
Oh,
Are you going to see
I'm
me?
sorry. What's your name? I'm sorry.
Oh, my name is Ilham.
Ilham. Hi,
Oh,
Ilham. Nice to meet
hi.
you.
Nice to meet you, Kim. And nice to meet you, Farah and Molly as well. Thank you for being here. So we're going to get started on the alumni panel. So I have a little bit of introduction slides. Yeah, so let me just close off all my windows over here. So, oh, thanks. Okay, my child is showing me all the math work he just did right now. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, actually, no, hold on. Okay, so yeah, so brief introductions here. I'm not going to read the entire slide, but we have Farah Ardekanian, who graduated in 2019, and she's also currently in her second year of the MA in Child Studies and Education program at U of T. So I talked about this program earlier. So she can tell you a lot about this program if you have specific questions, and about her internship experience at the Dr. Eric Jackman Institute of Child Study at the lab school as well. And when she was at Vic, she did her honors Bachelor's of Arts in Diaspora and Transnational Studies major, and double minored in English and Women and Gender Studies. And she is the vice president of the U of T's Council for Exceptional Children, and is also a graduate research assistant with the Institute of Child Study as well, at the place she's studying in right now, studying on a very topical issue, actually, is studying the impacts of COVID-19 on teaching and learning of elementary school-age children for both in-person and virtual learning. So thank you very much, Farah, for coming by today. We also have Molly Kay, who also graduated from Vic in 2019, and she's currently at Brock University's program in the primary junior division. And Brock University is located out in Hamilton, Ontario, and also St. Catharines. They have a location there as well. She holds an honors Bachelor of Arts in French and German language and literature. And during her time at Vic, she was an editor at the Strand newspaper, and also worked at the Office of Accessibility Services at U of T. She is also the recipient of the Egerton Ryerson Scholarship in 2019. It's a graduate student scholarship, and deeply passionate about teaching for social justice and inclusive education. And she hopes to pursue her career teaching French after she leaves Teachers College. We have Kim McLaurin, who graduated in 1990. And Kim began her career as an educator back in the 90s, and she has been teaching and being an educator for 25 years. So really excited to hear from you, Kim, about your insights. And she's currently, she started her career teaching English at Cedar Bay Collegiate, and she has been a principal since 2008. She's currently the principal of Humberside Collegiate, located out in Western Toronto. Kim, apart from being a principal, Kim also is very, very involved within her school community as well and wider TDSB. So she serves on the secondary recruitment committee for TDSB. She attends a lot of career fairs and gets to talk to a lot of aspiring teachers and teacher candidates about hiring and recruitment process within TDSB and within Humberside Collegiate. And she also does like hiring and coaching and mentoring of new teachers as well. So if you have any kind of career trends, hiring questions, Kim is a phenomenal source for that. Or Principal McLaren, Principal McLaren is a phenomenal source for that. And last but not least, we got Sarah Sherman, who graduated in 2019. And she majored in history and double minored in French and Renaissance studies. She was also involved in Vic Dance, Varsity Blues Pom Team, and the ViewSat Mental Wellness Commission within Vic. She's currently in her second year at Nipissing University's Teacher Education Program in the Primary Junior Division. Nipissing also has a teacher's education program, and they're located more in Northern Ontario, FYI. So some of their teaching curriculum can reflect the realities of the community that Nipissing is situated in, which is a very fantastic and interesting perspective also. She has a passion for working with students of all ages and abilities, placing inclusion at the forefront of her practice, and she dreams of becoming a professional teacher and educator. So welcome to our panel. And I won't show that yet, whoops. So welcome to our panel. I'm gonna stop the screen share right now so that everybody can see the panelists clearly. So I just want to start off with a question that had come in during our registration forms when we were doing the registration, that how has COVID-19 impacted the teacher's curriculum, the teaching practice as well in schools? So can we start with Kim, Principal McLaren here, please?
Thank you very much, Ilham. And I just want to say it is my real pleasure to be here. I did graduate from Vic in 1991 and have very strong ties with U of T and Victoria College in particular. I did my undergraduate degree there in English and philosophy, a double major. So even though it seems like a long time ago to some of you probably, it actually still feels very fresh and recent to me. So again, thanks for the opportunity. Interestingly, I literally just got off of a virtual meeting with the department heads at my school. So Humberside is a large school in the Toronto District School Board in the West End, and we actually have 16 department heads. And because of the way TDSB has organized secondary education into a quad-mastered system with students taking 2 courses at a time, the classes run from 8:45 in the morning until 12:30 in the afternoon. So that's almost 4 hours of face-to-face learning. All the time that people are in school, they're wearing masks, both teachers and students. And so the amount of time and then in the afternoon, of course, there's an asynchronous or a synchronous learning period. It rotates from day to day. And I'll tell you, the teachers are feeling absolutely overwhelmed, frankly, even though there's the benefits of those smaller classes now because there's 15 students per class. The pace at which they're required to keep up now, and because of the planning that's involved in teaching 2 courses at the same time, again with such a short turnaround, they're because it's just 10 weeks, right? They're feeling absolutely overwhelmed. And people are talking about their workload and also having some struggles with the kids, the teenagers in secondary school not doing the asynchronous part. So they're participating in the synchronous learning in the afternoons, but when they have asynchronous learning, not participating. So silver linings are smaller